Good evening, fellow Night Owls. If you look back at the history of this channel, you'll see that one of the first videos that I put out was about my gaming PC. And I still have that PC, but I have made an upgrade since then, so I wanted to take today's video to discuss the PC upgrade process and talk about a few of the unique problems that came up when building in the case that I chose, the Be Quiet Darkbase Pro 901. I'm also going to be talking about some of the PC games that I've been playing recently, and there have just been so many great games that have come out, a lot of excellent indie titles. So tonight, fellow Night Owls, we're going to be talking about PC gaming.
Maybe there's a computer fact in my book that can help us. Ah, here's one. By the year 2000, the average computer will be as small as your bedroom. How old is this?
So here we are, fellow Night Owls, at my desk. This is where I play all my PC games, as well as edit videos for this channel. Now, you might see this case and think that something looks a little bit unusual, and that's on purpose, is that the interior of the case can be inverted. This is useful for situations where the computer sits on the left-hand side of the desk, and makes it so that you don't have to stretch the cables around the back of the computer. With my prior case, the Lian Li 011D Mini, I ran into problems where I had to reach over the case to turn it off. And like I said, having the exhaust fans just pushing hot air at me was nice in the winter, but for the rest of the year, it's really not that interesting. So beyond being able to invert the case, what are some of the issues that come up when moving from a small case to a big case? And I also want to talk about some unique concerns that come up when you invert your PC.
Guys, I discovered I have an extra processor in my compartment of mystery. Being overclocked was a start, but once I activate this processor, I'll be all like, "You a big dummy, Einstein! Get a haircut!" Oh, wow! I can't believe how stupid I used to be, and you still are!
So one thing to consider with this case is the power supply, and especially if you're moving from a small PC to a larger PC, this might be an area that you have to pay attention to. So the power supply I have in my case is the SF1000L. It is a 1000 watt power supply. I picked this because I have a fairly strong GPU, the 7900 XTX. I also run a lot of LEDs, so I just want to make sure that I have plenty of room for that. The Lian Li 011D Mini requires an SF power supply, or small form factor, because it takes up less space and actually comes with shorter cables. This is great for PC cases like ITX or maybe MATX. The case is usually smaller, so the cables don't have to run as far, and the smaller form factor just takes up less space. Moving from a small form factor case to a larger case isn't a problem, because most small form factor power supplies come with a bracket that lets you install it easily. The problem that arises when you invert the case is that the power supply cables that are going to the GPU have to travel a much longer distance. So I had to special order power supply cables from Corsair. And this is another tip, because you want to make sure that you're using the proper power supply cables that come with your power supply. You can buy those cable extensions. Those can be used on basically any type of power supply. However, if you're buying new cables that plug directly into the unit, you need to make sure that you order the correct type of power supply plug. Another thing to consider when building a case in the inverted position is the direction of your airflow. Generally, when building a PC in the standard formation, you usually have the bottom and the front fans set as intake and the top and rear fans set as exhaust. But with the PC inverted, we actually have to consider things a little bit differently. So the way that air is flowing in this PC is I have the front fans as intake like a standard PC, and the rear fan is also an exhaust. But that's where the similarities end, because at the top of the case, instead of exhaust fans, I have intake fans. This is because the GPU is inverted, so feeding the GPU with cold air as intake is important. The Fantex Glacier 1 360 AIO is set to the rear fans as exhaust. The reason I chose this configuration is that the front fans will be blowing cool air in from the front of the case, which will immediately be sucked through the radiator with the exhausting fans. Oh, and this top part is a phone charger, so that's pretty cool.
You spend far too much time with your computer. It's not healthy.
It's my life.
That's so very, very sad.
Now that I've talked about some of the considerations that were needed for building in this case, let's talk about a few of the games I've been playing. The first on this list I've been playing through gamepass, and that is Little Kitty Big City. I've been playing this game upstairs on the Xbox with my kids because it's just so adorable. The game is kind of like an RPG. You do side quests for different creatures, like there's a tanuki who develops a fast travel system, and there's a duck father who loses his ducklings, so you need to help him. Your main goal is to consume fish, which increases your climbing ability, so that you can climb back to your apartment building where you fell out of at the beginning of the game. It's a really fun game. I've heard that it's really short, so I've been taking my time with it and playing it only a little bit at a time. But let me know what you think of Little Kitty Big City in the comments. And make sure to let me know what you've been playing on your PC. The next game that I want to talk about is Star Ocean Second Story R. This is a remake of the second game in the Star Ocean series, which is a series that I haven't touched since the original Xbox. I recently reconnected with a friend and he told me about the game, and now we're actually playing through it together in a sort of book club style. I booked passage to the second continent and just got trounced by the enemies there, so I promise I'm working on it. But it's been a fun RPG so far. Another game that I'm constantly playing is Magic: The Gathering Arena. I've been playing Magic since about 2012, and as a dad, it gets harder and harder to get out of the house, but I do play at a local store where I mostly play Eternal formats like Commander, Modern, and Legacy. In a past life, I actually hosted a podcast where I talked about Merfolk in those formats. I mostly play Historic on Arena just because I don't like messing with cards rotating out of legality, and I've been playing this deck that basically puts a lot of spells into my graveyard and then recasts them with Mizzix's Mastery. This is a deck that was originally built by my friend Johnny Crass, and I've made a few additions since they've added more cards to the format. And the last game that I'm going to talk about today is Helldivers 2. I finally bit the bullet and bought the game. It's not expensive, but I've had so much to play for the channel that I haven't really had as much time to just kind of play a turn on a YouTube video and play the game shooter. But Helldivers has really sucked me in, and I've got a few buddies that play it already, and I can't wait to do my part to advance managed democracy.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. I didn't do fucking shit!
Well, that's all the time I have this week, fellow Night Owls. What do you think of this PC case over here? I think it looks pretty slick, but I'm a little bit biased, and hopefully this is the last upgrade I have to make in my PC for some time. Make sure to leave some of your PC building tips in the comments below. Leaving your tips in the comments is super helpful to novice builders and veterans alike. I mean, I've built a few computers in my day. This case from Be Quiet gave me a few different challenges just from building in a unique form factor, so we could all benefit from your added experience. Make sure to build on an anti-static mat, and we'll see you tonight. Also, my ship's name in Helldivers 2 is Ombudsman of Family Values. I love all the names that I've seen so far.